Who do people perceive as being legit?
So before that, there's a quote of a psychologist, which he says that's because he doesn't lie or talk down to his audience. So many people believe Joe has it's not lying to the people compared to the media. Like if you see this tweet from Dr. Eli David, and it says journalism before and now. Like before, the journalist would always go to the subject and ask some questions, but now there are journalists that are going to the people, and I think that's what Joe is doing, Joe Rogan.
Yeah, you get a little 2 or 3 minute sound bite that's just basically a platitude that somebody has memorized, and they go on and them and everybody else that's trying to get the same thing accomplished, they all repeat the same platitude. Mm-hmm. And it looks fake. When you listen to the news and the reporting and reading teleprompters, it looks fake and it sounds fake. But when you watch like a 2 or 3 hour podcast on somebody like Joe Rogan that is uncut, unfiltered, unedited, and whoever the candidate happens to be or the politician, they're able to articulate their positions and explain their thinking. Whereas you just don't get that in traditional media. And when you have so many different things have happened in the media over the last several years, like the Russiagate thing, the Hunter Biden laptop thing, where the media just said, oh, it's Russia disinformation, and it turns out that the laptop was legit. And I know the FBI was announced last year that they were looking in to the laptop because there's some pretty disturbing things that were found on it. But in the middle of the election, the media's going, oh, it's not true. It's Russian disinformation. But after the election, now that their guy has won, now they report on it. And that's the kind of stuff that just happens over and over and over again. And, I mean, trust is the hardest thing to get, and it's the easiest thing to lose. And when you have people in the media lying on purpose to your face or lying through omission by just leaving out certain facts and only telling you the things they want you to know. And it's happened so much on the left and the right that people's favorite pundit has got caught in lies. You end up, I mean, if you look at the numbers of Fox, of CNN, MSNBC, I mean, all of them, their audience share is plummeted this last year. And you look at somebody like give an example, was like the horse dewormer stuff. Like Joe Rogan, ivermectin, I think he was taking. Everybody on CNN's going, oh, he's taking horse dewormer, and trying to delegitimize what he was doing and lying about it. When they had Dr. Sanjay Gupta on, and I remember Joe talking about that. Joe's got a bigger audience. He reaches more people than CNN. And so normally 10 years ago, when the news would lie about something, most of us assumed that it was legit, assumed it was real. And now you look at with the internet and Spotify and YouTube and different podcasting, you can't, in other words, there's other voices out there that you can listen to. Mm-hmm. And people, just like the quote that Estefania read, people trust Joe Rogan because they feel like he's not lying to them. He brings people on, he lets them speak in their own words without interrupting them, and then the person speaks, and then the viewer, the listener, can decide whether they agree with it or not, or they think it's legitimate or not, what the person's saying.
They're not telling them how to think. They're just showing a different way to think. And that's what I like about it, too. It's the authenticity. You don't feel that in any other things. You actually, it's just two people having like a conversation most of the time, and then you just take the important bits. Mm-hmm. I think it's just like human connection thing, too. The authenticity is huge.
Mm-hmm. And it's crazy because Rogan, when I was researching in the article, he has like 11 million downloads per episode. And even though Spotify does not release his viewership numbers, he was saying that he sometimes gets 200 downloads per month. And with 18 episodes per month, that averages to 11 million per episode. So you have so many people.
200 million a month, you mean?
It says 200, 200 downloads.
200 downloads?
200, I think it was downloads. 200 million.
200,000 makes sense. Or
well, if it's 200 million downloads and you've got multiple episodes, that would make sense. So that averages out to be about 10 or 11 million people total per episode.
Mm-hmm. And his viewers are younger. It's like the younger viewers are there. Compared to like cable, everybody is older and they watch it. But
Yeah, that's the other thing with cable news. You're right. It's all mostly older people that are watching it. So, like your generation's like, I don't watch CNN or Fox or any of that stuff.
Where do you mostly see CNN and Fox being played? Either like the doctor's offices. There's like just general areas where they're throwing something up on the TV. The audio is not even on. So a lot of it is just dead viewership. They're just not. They're just it's on because it's on. People just have TVs on in places. So it's not even like attentive viewers.
Yeah. Well, he has the highest. Tucker Carlson was still number 1 in the fourth quarter of 2021, and Rachel Maddow still has the most popular show from a network other than Fox. It's down in a chart that I have that I screenshotted to show the difference. But let me see if I can show that really quickly, and then. Well, anyways, in the bullet point, in terms of demographics, Rogan also beats a popular late-night show format. The average viewer of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert is 42.3 years old, and with an average of 2.95 million viewers, and Colbert hosts the most popular late-night show. So he does host a popular show, but still the average is there. This is what I wanted to show you, the media ratings. There we go. So the 2021 media ratings, average viewers per show, the millions. And you have Joe Rogan Experience, it's number 1, has 11 million views. Then it's Tucker Carlson Tonight, The 5, Hannity, Fox News, Primetime Average, and the list goes down. And you can see that the numbers start to go down. So Joe Rogan's Experience, everybody likes it. Everybody loves it. The younger view, other people that have been seeing it.
I mean, so Joe Rogan's got 11 million viewers per podcast episode. Tucker Carlson, who's on Fox News, he has 3.24 million. The 5, which is on the 5 at 5, I think is what it is. There's 5 different people on. That's a Fox show. Hannity, 2.94.
3.24 million and 11 million. That's a big gap right there. It's a huge gap.
I mean, he literally has more viewers than just about everybody else combined when you look at, like, primetime news. I mean, 10 years ago, this was... I mean, it's just amazing how... I mean, Joe Rogan started his podcast 10 years ago, kind of like how we started out, just having some friends and family over, just kind of shooting the shit and talking about different things, and it continued to evolve into what it is. It started out as something fun to do, and that's how most great things that start out. It just started out because, hey, this would be useful, or this would be fun to do. You know, repetition's the mother of skill. He's been doing all his time, and he built his audience over, last decade or so, plus all the Fear Factor and the UFC fights and all that stuff. So people have come to trust him because they feel like he's never going to bullshit them. He always seems like a guy that's trying, what's the bottom line? What are the facts? And like old school, like when I was growing up, you still had Walter Cronkite. He was in the twilight of his career. And I remember, who was it, Tim Russert, who used to be on Meet the Press. Even this day, I don't know if Tim Russert was a Democrat or a Republican or independent or what he was. It didn't matter who was on the show and Meet the Press, he would challenge everybody that was on there. You couldn't really tell what his politics were. He just got everybody to talk and say their piece and challenge them. But now everything is so partisan. Fox obviously leans mostly right, and then all the rest of the stuff leans left to like far left. And there was a quote I saw on Twitter the other day, and I can't remember who said it, but it said, if we don't know what's real, we can't resist. I mean, one of the things I think is Dwight Eisenhower said is that politics should be the part-time profession of every American. And if you're busy working a 9-to-5 job, you come home, maybe you got a half hour to catch the news. You want to be able to be informed of what's going on because you're going to vote based on that. You're going to make choices that are going to affect your life and your family's life. And you just want the facts and the information so you can make an intelligent, informed decision. We were talking about this earlier today. There was the chief editor of the New York Times a few years ago. He was at some kind of event speaking, and he was up on stage, and obviously, you graduated from with a master's in journalism. And what is a journalist supposed to do? What is your job as a journalist?
We're supposed to find the stories, tell the story, be a storyteller. That's our job. literally, to get the facts straight also.
To basically tell people the facts so they can make an intelligent, informed decision. And so the chief editor of the New York Times is saying, and there's a video of this, and he says, our job is to make society better. This is like, the oldest, supposedly most credible newspaper in the world, and the guy that's making all the editorial decisions saying our job is to make society better. That's fucking bullshit. And that's why people don't trust the media. So he's an advocate. He's selling a narrative. He's not trying to inform you of facts. He's trying to tell you what to think and how to think. It's ridiculous.
So according to the Gallup poll, there's a total of 36% in total in the U.S. have a great deal or fair amount of trust in mass media, which means that it's been the lowest for U.S. It's lowest on the record.
So basically only 36% total, Democrats, Republicans, Independent combined, feel the news is real. And that's why I was talking about that quote. If we don't know it's real, we can't resist. So if there's so much lying through omission, meaning they're just, because the media picks what they want to tell you, and because they're trying to get you to believe and think a certain way, so you'll vote a certain way and support certain things that they want. And if the majority of people, so what is that, 64% basically don't trust the news, that's a problem. The quote that's on the back of all my books, enlighten the people generally, and tyranny and oppressions of body and mind will vanish like evil spirits at the dawn of day. Like Dwight Eisenhower said, politics should be the part-time profession of every American. Well, most Americans don't have time to dig through all this garbage, and they come home and in the past, we all trusted the media, but with the advent of social media and YouTube and everything else, and guys like Joe Rogan, we're able to start to and when the hoaxes get exposed, the media hoaxes that have been exposed over the years, it's understandable. Like most people, we don't really believe what we're being told. We think, it's got an agenda. So if you got bad information, you can't make an intelligent, informed decision. Like the quote says, if we don't know what's real, we can't resist. So if something is being done or presented to us that really is not in our best interest, but what's told to us that are the facts, which is actually false, we're making decisions based on false information or fake news, if you will. Because if we had known the truth and what was really going on, we would have voted another way. It's just like in Congress when they vote on laws. You got the lawyers and the lobbyists of the campaign donors, of the biggest campaign donors, are the ones writing the laws and presenting it to the politicians. And these things get dropped on their desk in the middle of the night, and then they show up for work in the morning, and they got a several thousand-page bill that they haven't even read, and they vote on it. They don't even know what the fuck they're signing. If you did that in the corporate world, you'd end up in jail. You'd be run out of the corporate world. Nobody signs a contract and doesn't read what's in it, but yet it happens every day in Congress and in the Senate. They sign things all the time that none of them have even read or looked at. It's outrageous.